Welcome, beautiful divine masculine and feminine darlings. I don't plan to be here for too long, but I do have a little reading to do. I think I'm going to start here. This is the deck that predicted my husband's death almost a year before it happened. It's not something I was reading on. I was just doing a general reading and asked God what I needed to know. And that's what kept flying out of the deck. And I stuffed it back in there because it was sketchy, and it kept coming out. The same 3 or 4 cards just kept coming out. Okay. So this card just came out. Stand your ground. Now, I did pick up a channel a little while ago, and a few of them, in fact, and I've been picking up the slander that this plagiarizer has been spreading. One of these energies has been spreading. I heard, what was it? It was a reference kind of to tyranny. 322, I did just pull up another word that I heard too, which was detractor. Now, I heard the divine masculine come through and say that the karmics talking about me, trying to copy me, and then trying to trash talk me so people don't hold them accountable for stealing and copying, and so they can try to take credit for my work that they've stolen, etc. That they're just detractors. Now, define detractor. Basically, it means they try to minimize the truth, or they try to take away from the reality of a situation. An attacker is a synonym or a similar word. Person who disparages someone or something, to disparages regarding or representing of someone as being of little worth. Now, I do perceive these karmic people as worthless. What kind of person feels the need to steal from someone or try to put themselves in secret competition with someone else at all, let alone and then get mad when they still lose? Because it's about authenticity, not who can try to copy better, right? My whole brand has been built off of authenticity. So the second people start trying to copy me and in their mind be a better version of me than they think that I can be, which is crazy because they're trying to copy everything I do, they've already failed. I'm on a personal growth journey, you see, and the second you start trying to compete with other people, especially in regards to personal growth, it shows that you have none and that you're failing. First and foremost, the only person I choose to compete with is the person I was yesterday. Detractor. The second you start trying to copy somebody and compete with somebody who's just minding their own business and being themselves, the second you try to I'm going to give this dude a second to get out of my driveway because he's annoying and won't stop. You know why? Slamming things around. Because he's part of the Exile biker gang. So there's another gang member on my property. No wonder the noise, intimidation. That's the same biker gang that's caused problems with me, and I've even had to address that stuff in court before. You see, and I still have the documentation and records of some of which has not been addressed yet. So you want to sit there and bark up my tree and cause problems while I'm minding my business and calling forth the truth? Well, I'll put you right on blast too, kiddo. You and your little biker gang. They're not very nice. The exiles, yeah, no, those are not typically seen to be nice people. Pretty commonly, the exiles are known for things like domestic abuse and such. Whereas there are other biker gangs. In fact, there's one called BACA, which is Bikers Against Child Abuse. There are specifically biker gangs that are absolutely opposed and entirely set up and designed in a goodwill effort to stop and prevent and protect people from that. But on the flip side, you've got people like the exiles who do those things or enable and support people who do. I have proof of that and photographic evidence, so don't even try me. I'm not slandering and I'm not disparaging, it's just the truth. Historically speaking, no cap. So they keep trying to compete with me and be a better version of me, but I wouldn't be competing in the first place, so they failed at being me right off the jump. I wouldn't even have that thought inside my head. And again, they're focused on trying to compete with me. But I focus on my own authenticity and minding my business. They're trying to copy me and be a better version of me than they think I can be, but I'm focused on authenticity and myself. So how can you copy me? How can you be a better version of me when you're not authentic because you're copying me and I'm authentic because I am me? You could never be me. Not even with your best effort. I see that you tried, but it wasn't enough. You can't conquer the divine, little demon. Okay, so there's that. I just heard delegation too, so they've been trying to work together as a group. Totalitarianism was the word. So these people were in toxic space of energy. They did not want to face their shadow wounds. They wanted to cloak themselves in the light of other people, right? The light workers getting it out of the mud, coming out of a really difficult situation, dark night of the soul kind of a situation, and they saw us popping out, right? Like flowers out of the mud. See if I can get this to register. Actually, that'll probably work better. Keep growing. The moon is my sun, the night is my day. Queen Alice, the doorway in the portal. These karmics are confused, I'm not. The moon. Three things never remain long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. How they tried to sacrifice people to get what they wanted is coming out. Right? Trying to snatch someone else's star destiny. Steal from a star seed. A ghost whisperer, in my case, that was a no-no. You don't think my spirit team will let me know what's up and also help me stop you? Pfft. Girl, please. Boy, bye. Lamb. They came after a divine lamb. Protected divine light worker. Lamb of truth. Innocent. Her freedom and innocence has brought this whole thing down. Shine down. They call her Alice. In fact, that was my nickname in college because I'm a weirdo and it works for me. These karmics are weird too, but they're not the same kind of weird, and they're not the good kind. Definitely not the copycats. Okay, so this was a very heavy journey and burden. Oh, also one more. Speaking of divine masculine and divine feminines coming together, soulmates, the lovers finally coming forth, coming home together. This was a heavy burden and journey. Heavy as the head that carries the crown. Look at the responsibility and the weight on this person's shoulders. Yeah, well, these karmics, right? We got it out of the mud. It was hard, and we've been standing up taller. Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What didn't kill me made me a fighter. Footsteps even lighter. Okay, so they saw the light workers coming out of the mud. We'd dusted our shoulders off. We'd cleared our energy, our chakra system, balancing and aligning, right? Coming out of the dirt, coming out of these karmic cycles, earning the long, hard-won blessings. And they thought, oh, that looks pretty. I'm going to copy that. I want that. I want to snatch that. But they didn't do the work to be a seed that was planted, right? They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. My star seeds, you see, but these people know not the first thing. Oh, that looks pretty. I'm going to copy that and steal that, but you're not pure and white as the driven snow, spiritually speaking. You're not at all. You're evil. You're a grifter. You want to come along and cut the flower because you think it's pretty, but you don't know what it took for that flower to grow and bloom or how long it was in the mud. You just saw the dharma and you wanted to snatch it, but no, baby, that's why you're getting karma now. Crazy. Crazy can't. Basura. It means trash in Spanish. Because they were closed off. These were people who were spiritually cold. Yeah, what did I say? I just did a reading on Instagram titled Overcoming Obstacles. They tried to create burdens for people. It's giving Horus, also Isis there. Blocking off pathways. It's also giving Joan of Arc, the Loire River. And I posted something about that. The Loire. Oh, there it is. They were tempted to try to steal from people, tempted to try to throw attacks, tempted to try to claim that they were something that they weren't, but they were being influenced by dark forces, and now those same hellhound energies are dragging them to the pits and the depths of where they belong and they came from. Straight back to hell. But the reality is, whether you believe in hell or heaven or not, on earth, there's an embodiment reference of that, okay? And so it is what you create. These people did nothing but create hellscapes for others to boost themselves up, and only surrounded themselves with people who would enable them. I'm perfectly content standing alone. Now, is it preferable? No. But can I do it? Yeah. Can these karmics? No. They could never. You know why? Because they seek attention. They also need validation. I don't. I don't do what I do for anybody else. Meaning, while I do seek to help people, of course I come here to help. Whether or not people like that, I couldn't care less. I don't do what I do just because other people like it, or just because they don't, regardless of whether they do or not, in fact. I do it because it's a God calling, and I genuinely enjoy helping people, and I know that people need the support. God tells me to jump, and my only question is how high. And so for the haters and the naysayers, I don't do it for you. Meaning your opinion is irrelevant. I'm not going to stop just because you don't like it. And frankly, you showed your ass. You can't join my team either. You can't beat them, join them. No, not that either. Toodles. See ya. Stay gone. You had the piss poor idea to make that piss poor choice, didn't you? Yeah? And you made it. Have the self-respect to stand on the choice. Yeah, and that's the truth. They don't have to like the truth, but it's being weighed against their deception. And they're out of balance. So the light workers are being gifted opportunities. This is also a reference of these people, right? You had different doors and avenues to go through. You had different choices to make, and each choice led to a different outcome and consequence. This one leads to love. This one leads to healing and growth. New beginnings. This one leads to possibly a pitfall down to a reality check. Skydiving without a parachute. This one has money. Yeah. And in this case, let's say that this is a karmic who chose to steal from, like I was doing this out of love, growth and healing and divinity, working with God up to balance. And it also brings us inevitably by fulfilling this divine mission. But this karmic, they were focused on the money. And so, of course, they wanted love, and they wanted to claim that they were growing and building or gain followers by posting stolen content or something like that. But they don't have any divine connection. When they ran for just this, materialism and greed, they X'd out the divine, they X'd out any personal or spiritual growth. This is why their love life is going down the tubes. The people that they're with are not interested in them, are leaving them, have a wandering eye. They got in bed with the wrong people in whatever way, form, shape, or fashion, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's the person that they're with realizes that they lied about who they were, or they were trying to copy a divine feminine, and now that they realize that that was a karmic that they got into bed with, they don't want to be with them anymore. Yeah, well, this karmic female, she was so focused on being greedy that she didn't care that or think about the fact that her love would go down the tubes. She'd have no personal growth and no divine support or connection, which means money's flush too, isn't it? Because where do you think that comes from? Ooh, look. See? Told you, material harvest in reverse. Financial and material changes. Yeah, her money's going down the tubes because she was tempted. And jumped out of a plane without a parachute. Trying to compete with the air sign. The angel with wings. So I also got another download, actually. Let me pop off and pull that up really quickly. Unless I can get it from here. Sometimes it logs. Let's see. I think I need to check it. Hold on. Just make sure this is running properly. It is. Okay. I heard that too. Anti-fascist bullshit. That is what a karmic female just said. So what a fascist is, it's not a good thing, is a far-right authoritarian characterized by dictatorial behavior, Right? Hitler was a fascist, for example. No, it's not a good thing. Somebody who is an abusive bully, who thinks that they are better than people and should be able to bully and control people, and does what they 222 does what they feel like they need to in order to do that. But this belief system is why Hitler felt like he could just take all of the Jewish people in the world and throw them up in gas chambers and murder them. That's fascism. Okay, so it's not a good thing to be. So for this karmic to just come at me and say, oh, she's talking about that anti-fascist bullshit. Oh, so you're an abusive, tyrannical monster, a dictator. You think you're powerful because you're insecure, so you feel the need to bully people to have some semblance of appearance of power or perception of power in your twisted little pea brain, your twisted little peanut head, huh? Got it. Day late and $1 short, biatch. I just heard. So here, in the case of Nazism, which is fascism, this involved the belief of racial purity and a master race, which blended racism and discrimination and demonizing other people, such as Jews or other groups, other marginalized groups such as homosexuals, transgender people, ethnic minorities, immigrants. I'm also picking up in some cases it's people in the spiritual community, or in some cases even people who have injuries or are disabled. And then there's aporophobia, it's called, which is a fear when somebody's like anxious or afraid of being without money or seen as with less than. So they abuse and they bully and they hate on other people who are going through a struggle or who have less than, or they seek to put other people in that position because they're so afraid of being in that position themselves. They feel the need to try to put other people in that position to make themselves feel superior, almost like they're trying to buoy their own emotions by hurting other people. That's exactly what it is, in fact. Trying to use other people as a life vest, like trying to use other people as stepping stones. No, you will eventually lose your balance when they stand back up, and they always will. Or someone will help them up. But you're outlining your twisted everything. Psychological state, immature mental state, your abuse, your psychosis, your toxicity. You're just evil and perverted, clearly. Neo-fascist, post-fascist are also sometimes contemporary parties with similar ideologies, similar to or rooted in 20th century fascist movements. So some opposition groups have adopted the label anti-fascist to signify their stance. So I again find it wild that this karmic thought that saying about me a second ago, oh, anti-fascist bullshit, was an insult. Darling, that's not insulting. I would be offended by myself. I would offend myself. It would be disrespectful to myself to be a fascist like you. Oh, anti-fascist bullshit. I pride myself on that. That's not an insult. Hood rat. Yuck. It's a good thing I'm halfway between a bath and a shower. I just got out of the bath. My hair's still wet. In fact, I have a mask in it. Now I feel like I need to go run through it again. You know why? Because you are gross and I need to wash your energy off. This is why I wanted to wait. I thought about waiting until I was all finished, and I'm in my robe right now. I'm going back in a minute. Now I know why. God said, no, you need to do this now. Just wait. All right. Now I can go wash it off after. That makes more sense. Fascism has largely been disgraced since the end of World War II in 1945. So like I said, that's probably why I heard a day late and $1 short. Holy angels are cracking jokes at you, girl. Boy, bye. Girl, please. Okay. It also goes into anarchy. So totalitarianism, that's what they were trying to say about me. I heard it. Well, she's totalitarianism, meaning she just doesn't like when people oppose her. She wants to be the all superior ruling energy and da da da. She just doesn't like when people oppose her. No, that's not the case. A debate and a discussion is not a problem. It's the fact that you're incorrect. That's the problem. Let me just pull this back up because I got the channel and wrote it out. I just don't subscribe to that inferior thinking or behavior. I'm opposed to injustice and people with a lack of moral cognizance or ethical righteousness. That's all. There's a difference. It's not totalitarian. You're being totalitarian. You're incorrect, and you're still trying to push a faulty agenda because you want to be right at all costs, even though you're wrong. That's totalitarian. I don't have an issue with learning if there's something to learn or if I'm incorrect, but I'm not. You are. You're trying to argue with me because you want to be right. I'm standing my ground because I know I am. You thought you knew enough to think you were right. You don't know enough to realize or care to acknowledge that you're wrong. Or you're in such an ego state that even though you know it, you still don't want to acknowledge it or admit it because you feel like that's defeat. And it's embarrassing for you to be wrong, but that's why you're never right. Why do you always have to be right about everything? How is she always right about everything? Because I make a point to know what I'm talking about before I open my mouth. And I don't just run my mouth, and I don't just speak to hear myself talk, frankly. In fact, sometimes, and most of the time, majority of the time, 99.9% of the time, I don't want to stand here and do this. When I started this channel, I did love readings. You karmics got jealous and have tried to cause combat ever since. And so for years, they've turned into spiritual warfare readings because that's what you made out of it. And every time I start shifting back into the love readings and such, you get mad again. And you start upping the ante. You're the problem. You always have been. Remember? You had a choice. You just chose wrong. And you still don't want to admit it. But you tried to bark up the tree of the ultimate authority, and I already have that victory in my hand. Why? Because I also have the divine seraphim, and you do not. So that growth is mine. Tried to bury us and didn't know we were seeds. Try to muddy my name all you want, but I will wear your hate like war paint. Obstacles blocked. Uno reverse, though. Karma's going to kick your butt, isn't it? On God. 33, 33, 33, 22 rather. On the count here on the timer. Anything else? Still feel like I need one more little shuffle. Balance. So there's a level of regulation that's happening as the truth comes out and prevails. Look, they tried to bury us. They tried to bury the truth. They didn't know we were seeds. Heard. When my time comes around, lay me gently in the cold dark earth, and no grave could hold my body down. Crawl home to her. Hosier. Yeah, see? Divine Masculine says, I'm coming. I hear this too. Emily by James Arthur. It's about his daughter. And then also, so it's the light workers sending love to their children, saying how their children changed their lives. Finally, also by James Arthur, something about a long cold December, he says. Hold on. Is it finally? Hold on. Or, no, hold on. No, what is this? I hear these lyrics. Coming home for summer, that's what it is. I'm like, no, I know I'm hearing these lyrics, right? What is this? Not finally, but obviously that's song 2. And it is, because finally is about a divine masculine in this case. Or just anybody who resonates, but it's about being able to finally be yourself, speak up. Finally, I can wear my heart on my sleeve, he says. All the voices leave. He's also talking about people not seeing him very clearly. I hear misunderstood by Russ, and then also I hear working on me by Russ. Also, there's one more. I hear Throne Talks by Russ, also the title. Which one is it? It's about being misjudged. Misunderstood. There it is. Misunderstood. Been misunderstood time after time. Your mind is made up. Misunderstood. You only see pieces that fit your view of me. Your mind is made up, and my hands are tied. Misunderstood time after time. We started in October, drowned our sins in cold November rain, thoughts all through December, and prayed for snow to cover up the pain. It's been so long under winter's night, waiting for the sun, watching the horizon. There's another one too. Sun comes up. The sun comes up by, I believe that's James Arthur too. He says, we shadow boxed the enemy, swing until we extradite our fears. They're backed into a corner, I ring the bell, we shed our blood and tears, like hibernating sun rays, hoping for the sun and watching the horizon. What a feeling, taste the freedom there with every bite. Finally, we're coming home. We suffered in silence through storms and through violence. We stayed our way. The waves subsided. The clouds have divided. Finally, we're coming home. I found a reason to survive. I found the will to stay alive. That will be the last thing that we do, heading home, back home for summer. And I picked that up a few days ago. There's this divine masculine who has been dreaming about all the adventures. It's like he wants to come together with his divine feminine now, shortly, quickly this spring, and just have a happy, fun summer together and continue that through the winter. He wants to live with her forever. He wants to keep building. 4022. Ooh, you're gonna make me cry, DM. He says, I date to marry. I don't date to waste time. I'm too precious for that, and so are you. Yep. Our time and energy, our gifts, our resources, our spirits are too valuable to waste time on piss poor people. People with no class or character. People who lack flavor like an old gum stick in the dump. Now my dream life is merging with my real life. Heard both of those. It's mind flip. Sun comes up. It wasn't easy trying to run with these handcuffs. I danced through the blisters at night, and I laughed till I cried, and I ran, this one might get me too, till my feet couldn't run no more. I sang till my lungs were burning, no cap, till I know I'm alive, and I sing till I can't hear the words anymore. It wasn't easy trying to run with these handcuffs. I had to sleep through such a cold night to see it. Green flashes, heart chakra, hit me right where I'm standing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And remember, my heart chakra is lighting up to the point where I have tears in my eyeballs right now. But the card that came out for these karmics is that they're heartless. They're the dictators. They're the tyrants. They're the totalitarians. Suddenly, the sun comes up, and I feel my love flooding back again. The sun comes up, and I feel my love coming up again. The sun comes up, and the dark is gone. We made it to the dawn, and I don't miss these loser karmics anymore. When the sun comes up, I can feel my love coming back again. So give a little light to get a little love back. That is also why they wanted to bury us, because they didn't want people to see our light, because they knew it would draw in our love, our vibe tribe, our family, our soul family. They wanted to keep us apart. Look at how one of us intimidates them. Look at how these people tried to come at me, just me. Imagine how scared of a group of light workers they are. Now I know I'm boss, I stand alone, seraphim, top tier, but they don't want me to have more help. They're already afraid of me enough as it is. They wouldn't be trying all that they were trying if they weren't feeling so threatened. You see. But in my destiny path, it says that because I do evolve to this point, make good choices and observations and adjust as necessary, I have very good advice and am qualified to, direct quote, give advice on matters of taste and advanced thought. Thank you. So we've got the visionaries here. Visualize success. See yourself doing well in the situation and have faith in the positive outcome. You're a powerful light worker. Here, don't let them push you around. Shine your light. Be willing to forgive. I forgive you for being clowns. Zadkiel's the forgiveness angel, but Zadkiel's also the mercy angel. Excuse me. Zadkiel is the forgiveness, compassion, and mercy angel, but Zadkiel is also the justice and the karma angel, is on the Justice League with Archangel Michael. In fact, this came out again. So big emphasis on minding your visions, also tending to your pets, noticing the nature synchronicities if they're being called to you, and focusing on your integrity. Again, my brand was built off of authenticity and transparency. And so you can't copy me without copying who I am, without copying the likeness of me as a person. And since I have branded myself on authenticity and transparency, you can't copy me without violating my brand, violating copyright and trademark infringement at this point. So you can't legally and otherwise you can. On top of that, before I made my accounts and picked the names that I have, I also did my due diligence as you were legally responsible to do, and I made sure that they were not being used. I made sure no one else had them, even though the angels are the ones who gave them to me. I mean, I thought the name on the channel that I'm on now, Seraphim Emerald Gem Gypsy, was too long when they first said it in my ears, and I had a debate about it with them, the holy angels. And they said, no, it's not too long, it's who you are. You're very complex anyway. Seraphim, it's who you are, it's your angel rank, Zadkiel. Emerald is your birthstone as a Gemini. Gem is a play on words because hello, duality, also that's what you do. Air sign, intellect, Gemini. Because gem is short for Gemini, but it's also short for gemstone. And what is an emerald but a precious gem? Literally, that's what they're called, precious gems. And then Gypsy, self-explanatory. Aside from the past life incarnations and regression, my whole life has been trying to rebuild after people keep trying to come around and tear down what I've been building, and I have to move around and shift around and try to find some semblance of stability. And then got to a point where I got pretty good at being able to drop what I was doing, move for safety, pick everything back up, take just what I needed. I'm like, I've gotten pretty good at this. Gypsy. You see. But I was also Romani. This one right here for you. So there's that. But yes, I did make sure that nobody was using them, even though I created them, even though the angels and I created them. Because I also have past life incarnation where I've had issues with people plagiarizing and stealing my work, including for profit. And I knew that they would try again in this life, so I prepared for that. I also anticipated that people were going to try to take advantage of the fact that I was being abused as an empath while trying to advocate for my child, who was being used as a pawn in a sick and twisted game for these people, like our lives were a chess match, and they're not. It's our real life. Okay? Cut cords, right? Because they were trying to energy harvest. Tried to bury us because they didn't want us to be powerful. Tried to dim our light. Don't want us to connect to other people, right? Why? Because they're afraid of our power alone, like I said. Yeah, so they tried to shadow banned my accounts. They false flagged them, actually. One of them, my Seraphe Indigo Empress account on YouTube that I had, to the point of it being terminated. And what they said to have it terminated, look, was that in the video, which I wasn't even on screen for, by the way, I was alone with the cats. My daughter was already being held hostage at that point. And they said that there were children in the video playing with fireworks or doing drugs or something. There were not. But that's what false report that they made a claim to YouTube in order to try to have my account shut down. Somebody says, well, why didn't it go back up? Because one of two things. Either one of these criminals has a job. I know some of them have been hacking. The cell phone company told me that, and so did the computer company. But I also have been picking up for a while that some people got jobs maybe during the pandemic at YouTube. Some of them may have military clearances, and maybe that's how they tried to assert themselves as better people for the job. But let's say that you have somebody who's quote unquote working for YouTube who's false flagging your account, and then you go and you appeal it, but the appeal goes to the same person who's false flagging it or letting people do it, right? Because they're doing it together. Well, how does that help you? But then also there are issues where sometimes it's a bot, like a computerized system, and if it misreads the case or the situation, it can be very hard to get a human to go back and look at it, which is what needs to happen, but didn't. So that requires a lawyer and resources to do it. Heart chakra. Like I said, these people were heartless. They tried to target light workers because they're dark. Yeah. They don't have any creativity, which is why they keep trying to steal from others. But we're too smart for that. We know better. Intellect. Stay lifted. Okay? Let's do... I think I need one of these other decks. Hold on. This one. Can I get base energy for this cover photo? What did I say? They can't come at you alone because they're scared. Trying to recruit haters because plotting and scheming is a part of their hobby and lifestyle, because they're bums. They're toxic, abusive, narcissistic people who aren't creative, who don't do things for themselves, who try to plot on people and pocket watch. But these haters can't do shit to you. Interesting. The same people I had to call out for the noise intimidation in the beginning are now knocking on my door. Hi.
Did I accidentally turn your water off?
I don't think so. I'm not using it.
Will you turn the faucet on? Just tell me if you did. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and they'd shut my water off? Come on now. This is a karmic energy guy. Same one. Same exile biker gang.
Is your water good?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe that was an accident. 5422. I don't. Because it's the same exiled biker gang. I don't believe that was an accident. We'll check on it. We'll check on the energy. I told you I would. But let's finish this first. One task at a time. Here, at least in this case. So Yeah, I don't think that was a coincidence either. But they can't, there's nothing they can do. They want to. They think that they can. They try. It flew all the way over there. Yeah, see, look. This is out of a different deck, but that just came out too. 5522. There's nothing they can do. You're talented and amazing. Oh, I know. Do you hear me just yawn? But I'm up. However, I picked up that that's what these karmics are. Feeling or doing. They're lazy or they feel. The card about how they wish that they had our drive came out. Low key in love with you. Low key. Almost just said low key. It sounded like low key. As in the trickster spirit, the trickster god, Norse. Yeah, that's a no. Trying to defame your name. If anything, that's a duality spirit. You don't think that that one will rally with me, for me? Who do you think you're dealing with? Freya, Isis, Aphrodite. For starters, I outrank you. Zadkiel, Seraphim. Toodles. Someone is doing white magic, or this could just be prayers and healing, good intention and vibes, because they know about these jealous competitors. And that's why I speak about it, because it's not about quantity for me, it's about quality. I know I have some good people, actually some pretty big league people watching me quietly. So it doesn't matter what these karmics are thinking or misjudging on the outside. I know I'm about to pop off and go super, super viral. And it's not about that for me. In fact, this is why I had stage names. I'd never intended for this. When I started my account, Shiloh Horizon, stage name, because I never wanted or intended to be a public face. In fact, why do you think sometimes I don't need to be seen? I don't need to be seen. But God does call me to speak. God calls me to do what I do. God told me I would be doing what I'm doing before I was doing it. And frankly, all these people trying to chase clout and jump on the bandwagon. And no, I didn't want to do this at first. This was uncomfortable for me. You think it's cool or lucrative? You don't know what it takes. You don't know what it takes. Many people are called, very few are chosen. And guess what? Plenty of people try to show up and ride coattails that weren't called or chosen. And they're being called out. Look, God says no, fake witches, you little baby witch. Pfft, joke's on you, brat. You're acting like a toddler. Talking over you. I'm gonna go try to get my 5.5 million little followers to harass you. Yeah, because you're 12 years old inside your head. You're emotionally immature. Not because I said so, but that's what God said about you the other day. I don't argue with children, so you're just going to hear from the attorneys. But please remember that they do have juvenile detention systems. And you're not a child anymore, just behaving like one. Crazy. Salty. Are you salty? Because she's a childish little brat. And I don't call children brats, but she's not a child. She's just acting like a spoiled, mean little brat. Yeah, no, I don't for a second believe that that was a coincidence. Because they've been back and forth here, you see. And except for this is the one day that I left my curtains open a little bit because I wanted more sunlight in here. And so as I'm standing here in my bathrobe, which you can, I'm covered, I'm fully covered from head to toe. But if you look in from the outside, which they clearly did, you can see, as my back is turned, that I'm wearing a bathrobe. I find that strange. And frankly, accidentally shutting off the water over here, even though they've been working on that place for months and months and months and should know at this point exactly where everything is. In fact, do, because they haven't had a problem with it until today. And it's the same guy. Accidentally shutting off the water was an excuse to come knock on the door. That's what I'm picking up off of that. Oh. And as far as crazy goes, cover photo, just like I picked up something was off with that situation a minute ago, and Divine Masculine's not happy to hear that it's going on, but is happy that I said it because now he knows about it. You're welcome. I love you. Thank you. People notice that they're lying. Also that they're obsessed. And I've been picking up that some of the so-called fans of these plagiarizers, after realizing that they were copying, have been telling them to stop, telling them to give back the content, telling them to stop posting it, asking them why they did it, warning them. Because they feel bad. They realize that the person who's being targeted is actually the hero in the story, or the person who's being villainized, but it's the person that they were subscribed to, or that is trying to turn them against me in this case, that is the actual villain. And at that point, in their own little fantasy that they tried to fabricate, ironically, which they copied off of my real life, authenticity, transparency. And then as far as that goes, on the Myers-Briggs personality typing, which is based on Jungian psychology, Carl Jung's psychology, I am an ENFP. And that's partially why I'm an ambivert. And I do something called the bitch slap, which is where I, after observing all these facts and documenting, and I've got the timestamps and the screenshots, and I notice all the nonsense, I put it all together, and it often is very cold and calculated because it gets right to the nitty-gritty quick of the truth, and it's everything that they were trying to hide. Often, while quietly sitting and observing, I notice things about people that either they hoped nobody would notice or they didn't really actually notice about themselves. So I either bring up everything that they didn't want people to know because it's an insecurity of theirs, or I teach them a few things about themselves maybe they weren't ready to hear, and it offends them, but it's still the truth, and that's why it slaps so much, like a bitch slap. That's what it's called. I did not make the term up. There's also something called the door slam, which is when they get cut off and blocked, and there's a crossover there. But the ENFP is a campaigner. So I'm all about teamwork makes the dream work, except for that's toxic, and that's not teamwork or dream work. That's abuse and criminal behavior. And actually, anybody who aids and abets that can be charged as an accessory for those crimes and those things. So that's not very smart. That's why I don't tolerate those types of people. But I'm also an extrovert. I'm an ambivert, so I do both. So no, teamwork makes the dream work. It's just that not everybody's a team player. Those are the types of people who will try to drill holes in the boat, sink the ship just because they can't be the captain. But a real captain would never, ever, ever, ever even imagine drilling holes in a boat, whether they could be the captain or not. And so these people, while trying to snatch crowns that aren't theirs, have already shown with their behaviors and attempted crown snatching that they're not fit for the job. Heavy is the head that carries the crown, and they're not equipped, clearly. Whew, that was a big channel and download. That went fast. Sometimes I have to speak up quickly because it comes through. There's so much that comes so quickly through. Sometimes speaking of it can't. Sometimes it comes through faster than my mouth can keep up with, and I know that that sounds impressive, but it is. Impressive because I absolutely can speak quickly. But they can speak even faster. The holy angels. All right, so there's that for starters. Let's see. What's their karma? Karma? You witness their karma. They are going to continue being jealous and envying skills and talents. Now they're facing legal troubles because they didn't want to stop. Now people feel bad for the light workers. People realize this cover photo over here has been stealing from a single mother, a widow, a domestic abuse survivor, a sexual assault survivor, and somebody who's been domestically abused into qualifying for disability, and then had the same people who did that file financial fraud to wire fraud the money and steal it, to keep the injured, to keep people entrapped. And that's who Crazy K is chosen to steal from. That's a predator. She's just as predatory as they are because they did the same thing locally. She just did it over the web. In fact, there was a local here running a cult. It's the very first video in that plagiarizer playlist. And she was being paid at the domestic violence center to protect me from these people, and instead she went and ganged up on me with them, added them on Facebook, and was publicly trash talking me there with them, while trying to call me crazy for being a medium, as she was plagiarizing all of my content so that she could try to run a psychic medium business and pretend to be a healer. Trashing me and calling me crazy for being me, but trying to copy me because she was jealous. Like I said, Crazy K was not the first person to try this. She was one of the youngest, though. The first one in that playlist is like 50 years old. But both of them are old enough to know better, especially if they're going to be trying to claim to be adults or playing around in the adult business arena. That was not professional. And as far as typos go, doesn't matter whether you have trash writing or not. When you go and you try to sell things and make money, and you try to publish things and use legal references like copyrights, that is the adult professional business arena, and that is unprofessional and illegal. So you will be held accountable for it. Typos or not. Poor writing or not. On top of that, after I mentioned that here, that after copying my story and creating a whole knockoff fantasy development about it, and even advertising herself that it's poorly written, obviously. After hearing me say that a few nights ago, the very next day, she proceeded to make a post about it, trying to defend herself, which just further pointed out the fact that she's been stalking me, on top of the fact that her previous post was also directly copying one of my last couple of nail art designs, which is the exact reference of the cover photo, because then she took those nail art designs and tried to copy them for a book cover, even though the book is about me and my real life story, so she can't be doing that. And she even used my name for it, which is copyright protected and trademarked, so she can't be doing that. I could go on, but I won't. So trying to do spell work or hire people to do spell work I picked up or do readings or something. Not in my immediate circle, but this is somebody who doesn't want to let go and keeps trying to force themselves into my energy. I feel that right in the root, in the solar plexus, and the sacral chakra. No, I call justice and judgment on that immediately. I call death and binding to anybody who's trying to siphon and harm from other people. I do, and somebody's upset by that, 6922. No, I have the gift of spiritual assassination. God gave that to me years ago. I never spoke about it for years. I was given it years before I said anything publicly about it. It's because I don't use it typically. I'm not called to. Often, if it gets to that extreme, well, I just let God handle it. And frankly, God hits a lot harder than I do. But because I have that divine force moving through me, when God says, baby girl, I gave you a baseball bat. This is a team effort. You know, I'm right here, I'm behind you, I'll move through you, but you pick up that bat and you swing for yourself. This time you stand up for yourself. I will move through you, I'll match your efforts, but you swing. You pick up the bat and you swing. Swing, ho! Mm-hmm. On my Seraphe Reiki channel, the warning, the caption has been there for, I'll give you the date, since 2000, was it April 2024? Seraphe Reiki. This one was opened after they false flagged my Seraphe Emerald Empress account, which I had for a lot longer, years before. And I do have evidence of that. Its creation as well as its false termination in my email and from YouTube. Dated from YouTube. This one here, Seraphe Reiki, was joined April 25th, 2024. And the warning in it, I put in there immediately. And it says that this is a replacement account for Seraphe Indigo Empress, which criminals falsely reported into being shut down verbatim, after my original Seraphim Emerald Gem account was also put under attack initially, which is why I created that Seraphe Emerald or Indigo Empress account, by the way. It was a backup account. But then they attacked both of them and had my backup account falsely terminated. It is narcissistic abuse, but I can always rebuild. They attack because they don't know how to build. They copy also because they don't know how to build. Trying to use me as a blueprint, clearly. But they tried to claim that it was their blueprint, even though it's got my fingerprints and my name on it, because it's my birthright. That's like trying to steal someone's inheritance and expecting the person who's giving it to them to be tolerant of it. No. God said no. Because that is my spiritual inheritance. God just placed a crown on top of my head. Yep, a new one. Upgrade. And my wings. Thank you, I love you. To the stalking karmic scum, I would not want to be my enemy. I have been merciful, courtesy removed. I would retreat while you have the chance if I were you. I wouldn't have put myself in the position you're in if I were you, but I would also back off if I were you while you still can. Don't waste the opportunity. I'm giving you a chance to fall back. Consider this a warning shot. The next one will not miss. Now, mind you, I wrote that long before I realized this was last year. No. Yeah, this was last year. And I only noticed crazy stalking me, copying from me a few months ago. And I only found the bear song not nice. If I have to chase a check, which is what this has been, and having to try to protect my own investments, then I'm not nice. If I've got to send a threat, then I'll shoot twice. I only found that a few weeks ago. But I wrote this last year. So she wasn't the first one, like I said. I did not write that because of her. But then she behaved just like them. They sent locals chaos, that cult, chaos, magic, and conflict spells. And because she's already in that toxic energy, belief system, and mentality, because she shares the same zodiac signs as some of them too, and because she's evil like them, she ran right with it. The little devil on her shoulder whispered, and she did not listen to angels. And it was the same devil that jumped from each of their ears to the next. To the cult leader, oh, gather your little cult members to do these chaos magic and attacks on MGem. And then the cult leaders, the cult people, oh, do these spells with the cult leader on MGem. And then the people who they sent the chaos magic and conflict spells out to, including Crazy K here, oh, Jump on that bandwagon. Oh, you see this girl? I'm going to make you jealous of her, the devil said. I'm going to make you want to run with this toxic demonic behavior and anger and theft and... Yeah, well, she jumped right on it. No opposition because she was already in it. I'm not the totalitarian. They're not even opposed to their own poor judgments. I'm just opposed to toxicity. That's why they get bad karma. And I posted about this in the community this morning too. In fact, there was an article came with it. Have you ever noticed how narcissists just can't seem to learn from their past mistakes? It's like they're caught in an endless loop of self-sabotage and dysfunctional patterns. Making the same disappointing choices over and over again. Whether it's blowing up good relationships, wrecking their own success in business, right, by doing things like this. Using the same unreliable mechanics or service providers, disregarding legal advice, right, as warned, 7622, or making other logical mistakes from which they need to learn and improve for next time. You're left baffled and you're like, why can't they just get it together already? What's keeping them stuck in this cycle of repetitive and costly mistakes? I did not write this. There's a karmic who thinks I'm making this up. No, it's an actual psychology article. I already listed it, and I will link it in the description box below. The ego and self-preservation, to answer that question, is the start of it. What's keeping them stuck in this cycle of repetitive and costly mistakes? Ego. So they get butt hurt. They're jealous. They don't like themselves, so they try to copy someone else, and then they get butt hurt when they get called out for it. And then the self-preservation kicks in because then they don't want to take accountability for doing what they did, or right, they pretended to be someone else or something else, identity theft at that. And so that's the reputation that they tried to build for themselves by being fake. But these are people who fail to acknowledge that you're supposed to care more about your character than you are your reputation. Your reputation's really not important, comparatively speaking, not in regards to your character. It's why there's something called character assassination that is illegal. It's defamation. And this is because your reputation is who people think you are, but that doesn't have necessarily any weight or truth to it. That's based on either an opinion or a perception, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a clear or fully fleshed one. It doesn't mean they know the depth of a person. It's like seeing somebody on the outside that looks nice, but you don't realize that they actually kick puppies behind the closed doors, that kind of a thing. Very mad. And if it's not kicking puppies, that's an extreme. But yeah, it's doing nasty things to people, stealing from people, grifting, lying, causing drama when they get called out for doing something they're not supposed to do, trying to get out of it at all costs, like a 12-year-old, trying to lie and blame it on other people, or bully and gang up on other people like a 12-year-old. And I don't even feel like a lot of 12-year-olds do that, but I've seen some quite immature people do that. I had people in my childhood behave like that, and so I recognize the behavior. It's just not appropriate. It wasn't then, it's certainly not now, especially not for somebody who is 25 years old. I wasn't behaving like this when I was 25. My husband died when I was in 2016. And I was... I think I was 23 or 24. Mm-hmm. Yep. In fact, I launched my business and then he died, like right after. But he was bullied. We were being bullied. I launched my business and we were still being bullied by the same people who continued to bully me, steal from me, hurt me, kidnap my child, all of it, gang stalk, all of it. The whole thing. All the stuff. The origin story. So their karma is that they're being blocked by God, which is why I'm good. We're good, light workers. These people, to recap, are supposed to care more about their character than their reputation. Your reputation's who people think that you are, but that can be shattered with the truth. Your character is who you really are. And even if people try to slander you or give you a bad reputation with lies or partial truths, meaning keeping out the information, exculpatory versus inculpatory evidence, keeping out the information they think makes you look good and only telling information, even just little tiny broken pieces of a story that when smushed together, out of context at that often, they think make you look bad. Yeah, Divine Masculine says, well, that's not nice or right or legal. That's not even true. Right. So it's like they take like little 16-second clips out of a movie, smush little clips of conversation together, and then claim that it was one whole conversation strung up in a line all at one time. But yep, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Robert Van Horn, for example, has taken like 30-second clips of a 3.5-hour live feed where I'm explaining the depth of a situation in context, but he'll cut out a 20-second or 30-second clip where I get triggered for a second before taking a breath to cool down while I'm whistleblowing about pedophilia or some kind of domestic abuse crime, some kind of volatile civilian war crime, because it has been domestic terrorism. And then he'll try to frame my whole demeanor as that 15-second clip or 20-second clip, or he'll claim that that's my whole personality, but he'll cut out all the parts where I'm telling about the evil, illegal, malicious things that have been done, like the raping of children in hostage situations, which are naturally upsetting, right? He cuts out the parts that make him look bad and then tries to frame my reaction to his abuse, a 30-second clip where I'm reacting to his abuse after whistleblowing for 3.5 hours, as the whole story, and it's not. So the court never saw. No, he didn't want them to. He asked them to take a 25-second clip or something and called it 3.5-hour context, but it was out of context. And he did this thing where he cut. I used, what was it? A metaphor, an analogy. Which one was it? It was like something about war or something. A gun. Spiritual sharpshooter, I think it was. I was referencing a spiritual sharpshooter, like spirit team targeting somebody down, and they took it out of context and tried to say I was making like gun threats or something. Yeah. So you were speaking in metaphor and he tried to take that tiny little clip out of context to say that you were making physical threats with weapons. Yes. Tried to say I was a terrorist or something. Yeah. So their karma is that now they're scared because they were trying to be intimidating. Their karma is that, well, the confidence that they tried to break or gain for themselves by, I see that, taking from someone else, it's not theirs. They're going to have to continue to see the light workers elevate and grow, and they're going to be further diminished. I hear inferiority. But I see that. I see that there's this karmic who thinks that copying the externals of me, copying parts of me that she thinks make me confident on the outside, or they will make her feel good on the inside, but that's not what it is. It's not the externals. 322, 222, it's the inner work. It's the mental and emotional work, right? I love myself regardless of those things, despite those things. And the fact that she thinks that copying the same things on the outside of me that I was bullied and persecuted for will make her look, or more specifically feel, some kind of way about herself in a positive light. That's not it. It's why even though she's trying to copy me, she still feels like shit. It's why she keeps trying to copy me, thinking it will work. It's not. Because whether I looked like me or not, that confidence doesn't come from the outside. It comes from inside. It comes from everything that I've had to go through and struggle through, which is why I still have that strength and stamina of spirit and self-love regardless of externals. It's also why I can dress up or down. It's why I could be on screen or off. I don't need to be seen, but she does, for validation. It's why she only keeps people around her that support her toxicity. But that's not a good advice. Those are not good people to have around. Those are yes men. Those are people who will encourage you to drive yourself into the ground. They'll support you in everything you do, but they won't be able to help you out of the trouble that you get yourself in. Never thought about that one, did you? Because you're too busy trying to steal and put on a front to think at all, let alone clearly. Okay, so they're going to suffer because that's what they wanted for me, for us. They're being punished because they're wrong and they didn't want to acknowledge they were wrong. They tried to double down on their wrong when being called out for it. And that's why their plans are failing, their business is failing, their relationship, their life is failing. I'm picking up also people having to move or lose houses, whether it's moving in with family or becoming homeless or something. They're in trouble. Yep. Crazy K. She's in trouble. Her karma is that she tried to chase clout off of me by copying me and stealing from me, because she thought that people would be more interested in her if she pretended to be me. She thought she'd like herself better if she pretended to be me. Somebody who liked themselves wouldn't feel the need to do that, right? I'm over here being ENFP authentic, thank you. And that's the whole thing. ENFPs are all about authenticity. That's what the main basis for that personality typing is. You're not. You already failed at trying to be me. I'd never do what you did or want to. Do you know Delray was the same? He didn't like people copying him. He liked to do his own original thing. 8822, we were both the same. Although we liked to match outfits, and often we did without trying. We'd both get ready for the day and then walk in the same room and realize we matched. Sometimes we both need lighters. I'd grab one where I was and he'd grab one where he was. If we ran out during the day or something, we'd get home and realize that we had picked up the exact same lighter at separate times on accident. Matching lighters. I have pictures of that actually. But so she thought that because she had more of a follower count, that she could steal from me and then claim that I was chasing clout. But just because somebody has more followers no. And frankly, again, I don't want those followers. I don't want people who are going to blindly follow toxicity or who don't support and stand up for what's right. Those are not people that I want. 8922, but I will not accept or tolerate the theft. There's a difference. The truth needed to be exposed, and it has been. It is being. So I told her this morning, keep my pretty name out of your mouth. I don't need her to mention me. I want her to go away. I do just fine on my own. In fact, the videos that I've had to whistleblow about her get little to no views, comparatively speaking. The one I posted about, let's see. The one I had to call her out in a few weeks ago got it's up to 135 views right now. And she's been sending people to it. And also going back and clicking on it. I know that. And because that's the same video that her followers came to try to harass me in. I put the screenshots back in it after I called them out. They tried to bully me for her. They said that I couldn't prove what I was saying, and a couple of other things, but I posted screenshots showing that that was false. You won't even tell it to her face. What do you mean? She's tagged. You can't prove it. Actually, I can. Here are the timestamps in the screenshots. They deleted their comments after, but I knew they were going to do that, so I already took screenshots and I posted their deleted comments back up in my copies of their of the screenshots before they deleted them. Aw, where'd your mean comments go? Let me put those back up for you. Interestingly enough, that when I went to go block her, before God said, no, just let it sit there, I noticed that she had 2 videos in a playlist, and they were both for manifesting money, like binaural beats for manifesting money. No. 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 Okay, and so Divine Masculine says, when was that? That was 2 weeks ago that video was put out, and the one I put out 3 days ago, my video, has 554. All right. The one I posted yesterday about her, not even 20 views. Okay. Nobody cares. That's why she's copying me. Nobody cares about her. That's why she's copying me. She doesn't even like herself. That's why she's trying to steal my identity. Okay, so she's chasing clout off of me. And also is desperate to gain attention, to get validation, and doesn't want to lose those followers. Right? Heard that. Just know the product. Today I decided, how does it know? How does it feel to know that you lose all your fans if ever I talk? If I ever pull up receipts in some videos, honey, I bet you'll be pissing your drawers. Flip-flop lying ass hoe. But didn't I hit you up directly? I did. And tell you that you'd better be treading real carefully, bitch. I did. Don't you forget. We've still got a debt. You've still got a debt, and I'm going to collect my shit. 9322. So, because she chose to do that, this is her karma. Now she's being sued for it. I warned her to stop doing that before she published the content, which means that she can't even argue, well, I didn't know, which is one argument for people who are violating copyright infringement. And it doesn't mean that they won't still have to pay penalties for it. It just means that it's not necessarily as bad in some cases if it really was accidental, if it wasn't malicious. But this girl, not only did I tell her directly, she sent her followers after me to try to have me bullied into silence for telling the truth about the fact that she was stealing my hard work, my real life story and content. And name, 9422. And so she knew. I tagged her directly, repeatedly. She knew. I contacted her talent agency a few times, each time the ongoing thefts were popping up on my page. And so they knew. They were both warned. And then she still chose to publish after that, which means that that crosses the threshold, legally speaking, of willful violation, meaning she was absolutely aware of the fact that there was a violation. She just didn't give a fuck because she thought since she had more followers that it wouldn't matter. She could just take what she wanted. If I peed on it, it's mine. If I licked it, it's mine. No, bitch, not according to the law. No competition. I would never do what you're doing. You already failed. Next. Right. Anything else? I think we did these. Yep, that's it. Let's do one more. So let's pull this out. Ask Jojo, what's up? Okay. And then stop. Yeah, what did I say earlier? You should stop trying to listen to people on the internet tell you that it's okay for you to steal. 333. Or think that you should continue doing it or can continue doing it just because you have people enabling you. No, you're making it legally worse for yourself. Don't rely on your friends or the internet. Listen to a damn professional. I'm not trying to be professional. Yeah, that's evident. So stop trying to run in a professional arena. The business world is a professional arena. Stay out of it. Based on your behaviors are not equipped. Business arena has adult rules and laws and you already broke them, child. 12-year-old in your head. If you're waiting for a sign, here it is. Apologize. 9722. Seriously, just do it. Also, this came out in a reading a day or so ago. I think it might have been the last one. Might have been the one from last night. I was picking up that she doesn't eat well, right? Oh, you know what? I saw that a second ago. It popped out. Where did it go? Hold on. I saw it said taco. There it is. 9822. I believe it was this one from yesterday, which I will certainly link in the description box in the down bar. For clickability and convenience. But in this reading, her card that came out was, in fact, let me just show you. Full of processed food, just French fries and cheese, and she was represented as a skeleton, death. And death was the first card, actually, I believe, that came out right in the bottom of the deck in the Instagram reading that I did on my Seraphim Emerald Gem channel this morning. This morning, as I said that, wow. This first thing this morning. Yep. Look, I just did my nails last night. Right. Also, some of the content that she started copying a few weeks ago was from one of my readings. It says Zodiac in the title because that symbol right there was on my nails. On top of that, the blue and white nails that I did are what she copied for the cover photo of that book. Why would you name your book Golden Legacy, but not have anything to do with gold in the artwork or the cover? Doesn't make sense, except for the fact that she's copying everything I do and I was posting blue and white. The inside of the book is about my story, and she stole my name, Seraphe, and put it in the description of the book to do it. So, yeah, that got exposed, didn't it? As divine masculine and feminine are coming together. Oh, right, because they tried to put a death to the Empress, Seraphe. No. No. I heard that yesterday too. You can't kill her, her soul is immortal, etc., etc. Also, I heard somebody speaking to divine masculine, and they were speaking about divine feminine, kind of like coming from, wow, rags to riches, because she's getting away from these toxic people who tried to dampen her light and steal her star. Look at them try to cloak themselves. You can't compete where you don't compare, skeleton. Hellstone and brimstone and hellfire. Yeah. She's sitting there trying to paint her face in makeup, but guess what the reflection looks like? Because that's who she is inside, evil. And her secrets got exposed. Wow. About the fact that she was trying to pretend to be the life of the party while copying the Empress. This person's got holes in all their clothes. Dead men walking. Zombie. Vampire. Energy vampire. The mother. The healer. The goddess. The Empress. The widow. The survivor. The hermit, right? Ambivert, introvert, extrovert. The hermit, mother and child. Who's doing a lot, right? By herself. Who's raising children. Who has a social media platforming career. Who's raising children. Who's also making sure to keep the house and the life going and organized. Sun and moon. Okay. What did I say? Yep. Sunflowers. Keep growing. Yeah, wanted to. Desperately. She so desperately wants to be. That's why she's trying to copy. But you can't compete where you don't compare. And never did. Look at the, is it a baby? It almost looked like a lamb at first. Oh, look, the heart. It's like my Alice costume. Oh yeah, and the raven. I posted a raven. Oh look, and the amethyst in the background. Yeah. Amethyst horizon. Which is my art account. And I have a photo where I'm dressed up as Alice with the hearts on it. I mentioned that earlier. The queen here, royal bloodline. And then there's the reference of that. She claims she has a character recently that she claims she made up that has a Z name. It begins with a Z, but I've been posting Archangel Zadkiel for years. In fact, it's on my Instagram. about me, my Seraphim Emerald Gem Gypsy Instagram handle. And it's a real archangel name. I'm not making it up. But the zodiac is Gemini, me. The color is purple. The reference of Zadkiel is of amethyst, but also lapis lazuli, right? So there's the whole, heard that Divine Masculine says, oh, so she's copying Zadkiel because she's doing that purple enchantress energy, which is basically copying you as a purple indigo colored high priestess psychic medium and calling it Zyla instead of Zadkiel. Yeah, but Z. Everything else is the same, and she slightly changed the name, except that one name, except for she started it with a Z, and it was like, it's just another copycat thing. Divine Masculine's laughing at UK. And I'm laughing with him, frankly. Yeah, strength, perseverance. He says, you can't best a real empress. She sits there with her hand in a lion's mouth. Daniel in the lion's den. That came out this morning in the reading on Instagram too. Perseverance. And actually, in the other card, I mentioned, look, that's why I brought this deck back out, in fact. Yeah, the last straw. See? Butterfly. She tried to copy the butterflies and such. Meanwhile, my business partner, who died, psychic medium over here, was an entomologist. They called him the bug man. Why? Because he worked with butterflies and moths and crystals and had crystal shops, etc. And we were writing books together. And so when she decided to steal from me the crown, the empress, see the crown on her head there? That was the last straw. Also, he loved coffee. Tony was a coffee drinker every morning. And so I told her, girl, you can bite the bullet and suck on D's nuts. D's nuts. I'm not confused, but you barked up the tree of the storm angel today. And you know what? When my robe right here that I'm currently wearing is untied, which actually kind of it is right now, it kind of looks like that. She needs wide open spaces, room to air out these big nuts. Yeah, the copycat fell on her own sword, didn't she? Try to run around with the big dogs. Woo! Girl, you can't handle the heat. So her card that came out was the cheese fries. Dead hand, dripping in nothing but saturated fat and carbs and salt. Nothing healthy here. Comparatively speaking, just as a general life force energy. Wow, trying to steal food out of a baby's mouth by stealing from Divine Feminine that would be feeding her children with that money, or properly hiring further legal protection for her child to get her child out of abuse. A young woman burdened by the weight of expectations and haunted by the shadows of her past. Does that not sound like the Survivor story where I've had to whistleblow and call out corrupt government and try to rescue children, which God said I would be doing long before any court-related stuff came up? Mother and child. She yearns to embody the strength and wisdom of her mother, a revered leader whose legacy looms large over her own aspirations. Yet a childhood illness has left a mark on her spirit. Does that not sound like my daughter and I being domestically abused into disability, both of us, and then 2 separate disability settlements, one for mother and one for child, being stolen and funneled via wire fraud by the same people who caused the injuries. So they have been abusing women and children to make money for themselves and then keeping them stuck in order to continue to get monthly paychecks and stipends, yeah, that are supposed to be going to us to heal from the injuries that should have been prevented and avoided in the first place. Yeah, okay. My origin story, thank you. Oh, and by the way, I sent copies of all of this context to Amazon yesterday, so it's not as if they haven't heard this either. Gross. Fostering persistent self-doubt that threatens to undermine her every endeavor. You mean kind of like your intimidation tactics were intended to be sent out to try to bully people out of keeping their own creations. And I got this the other day too. This is narcissistic entitlement. She thinks because she has 5.5 million followers that she's just entitled to take what she likes and claim it as her own because she thinks she's popular, so she should. I'm like, who do you think you are? Girl, you are delusional. Do you not know that A-list celebrities get sued for what you're doing all the time? Or they sue people for what you're doing all the time, more specifically. You're delusional. You're not above the law. On one fateful night, destiny ties her to the ultimate battle that only she can conquer. Now, how many years have I been talking about breaking these generational curses? Right? The same crooked courthouse that put me through this as a child, then turned around 20 years later to do the same thing to my daughter and I. Thank you. Her journey is fraught with danger, yeah, like with crooked cops and judges, including treacherous voyages and encounters with dangerous supernatural forces. You mean like the demons that these people have been literally calling on and playing with and trying to send out in attacks? Also, whether Crazy K is doing it intentionally or not, whether she's just effectively possessed by these dark energies or has been trying to invoke them intentionally, that energy's been coming up. So she's embodying these demons, or she's been trying to go to practitioners or play around in spell work herself. You don't know what you're dealing with. I heard that, pantheon goddess. Yeah. I mean, like in some cases, some of these beings that she's trying to call on for help, those are my previous incarnations. So you're actually calling on me to try to have me attacked by myself. You're delusional. 11222. Oh, also, you don't think that Angie Butler tried that years ago? Pfft. Girl, please. Boy, bye. Pathetic. If a 50-year-old cult witch couldn't do it, you think you're special? Oh yeah, and she quit her day job at the domestic violence center where she was being paid to protect me to go gang up against me because she wanted to marry this guy who was Native American because he had a church following of his Native American little thing of 2000. So she quit her day job at the domestic violence center to bully a domestic violence victim, to copy a domestic violence victim, so she could steal her new husband's 2,000 followers and try to make them her own. She should have kept her day job and done it right instead of being jealous and ruining her life and business in the process. The princess is aided by magical elemental beings known as the Seraphes. Well, I'm royal bloodline, and you know I call my daughter princess, have for years. Together they must face an ultimate dark force that threatens both the human and magic world. Yeah, so Kay became the villain in her own story, where she plagiarized my origin story and my name, Sarah Faye. Keep my daughter's name out of your mouth, too. You know she's named after a tree, right? Sarah Faye. 11422. I'm going to drop the mic right there. Please remember to pray, do no harm, take no crap, and I'll catch you on the next one. Blessings, namaste.